Good morning, good morning, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are, wherever you choose to be. Thank you guys for tuning in to the Voice of the Fans Sunday special episode. We got this is a football National Football League Championship weekend edition of the Sunday special. Got my man Cleavon up in the Northwest. Thank you for joining us today. Fans, give yourself a round of applause. Give yourself a round of applause for joining us today. And we're gonna get into some topics, man. This is not a full length show. So we don't got all the bells and whistles today. We're not going to give you the numbers game. We're not going to give you this week in history. Not going to give you a quote today. We're just going to run through kind of the NFC or National Football League Championship weekend. We're going to talk about that game more so than anything. But there's a couple topics that I do want to get into, and then we're going to do a slight recap. Since Cleavon wasn't here, we got to hear what Cleavon thinks about Brock Purdy specifically. And you've been wanting to say, "Oh, he only throws the ball 15 yards down the field. Oh, he doesn't do anything when Debo's not on the field. Oh, he doesn't do anything. He doesn't bring that San Francisco 49er team isn't built to bring the team back." What say you today, Mr. Cleavon, as they prepare for their NFC Championship game, second year in a row?
Cam, all the aforementioned comments that you had about Brock Purdy are correct, and they still stand. And no, I'm not coming off of my stance on any of those comments. I feel that way.
Yeah. You feel what way? I mean, the fans don't know what you're talking
about. I feel that Brock Purdy is a system quarterback. I feel that he can't really stretch the field. I don't really have confidence in him to bring his team back from a deficit. And I think that Debo Samuel gives them an element that without his presence, they have a very difficult time winning. Of course, he's playing today. So
was Debo on the field in the final drive of the game of the divisional playoff game? Was Debo on the field?
He was not on the field, Cam.
Okay. Did Brock Purdy bring his team back from a deficit in that final drive to give them the lead going into to give them a lead before the championship game of the NFC?
He did. He brought them back.
So what more do you want to? Before it was Debo, he can't do anything with Debo on the field,
right?
And he couldn't bring the team back. So what more do you need to see?
I'm confused. Yeah, I wasn't convinced, Cam. I mean, clearly, when Anders Carlson missed that field goal, the air was
now it's a missed field goal.
Oh yeah, it was definitely the missed field goal. Had he made that field goal, they were going home for sure.
Well, it stands now that Brock Purdy, you have another chance to convince Cleavon you are who I say you are.
Right.
You have another weekend to prove that. And before we get to the NFL playoff games this weekend, Cleavon, the Los Angeles Chargers have a new head coach, Cleavon.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you've been ignoring my text. I've been texting you for a week now. You've been ignoring my text conveniently. Now that I have you on screen, what do you think about Harbaugh going to the Chargers?
Certainly couldn't hurt. I mean, he has what most people couldn't hurt. I mean, he has what most people consider to be a franchise quarterback in Justin Herbert. He certainly
most people consider. Most people consider.
Yeah, I mean, he's been surpassed by a few quarterbacks this playoffs, wouldn't you say? He's fallen down the list a little bit.
Who's surpassed Brock Purdy? You put Brock Purdy ahead of
no,
Justin Herbert?
A guy named C.J. Stroud and a guy named Jordan Love.
Come on.
Yeah. They both won playoff games. Has Justin Herbert won a playoff game?
Going into next season, Cleavon. Going into next season, you're not taking C.J. Stroud over Justin Herbert, are you?
I most certainly am.
And you said that with a straight face. Going into next season, you're not taking Jordan Love over Justin Herbert, are you?
I most certainly am, Kim.
Oh man, you need to stop.
Mhm.
Come on, you need to cut it out. And so, you going to add Jared Goff to that list as well?
I think Jared Goff is a few levels below that that class that I just named. Not a lot, but a little bit.
Okay. Well, this conversation is on the head coach right now. Um, and I tried to see. I didn't have any numbers to base this on when I brought this up to you 2 weeks ago. I believe it was when I told you Harbaugh's pedigree, his track record. I gave you a track record of his success when he was in San Diego. They go from 80% winning percentage to 82% winning percentage. When he's in Stanford, they go from a point a 0.8% winning percentage to 58% winning percentage at Stanford in the Pac-12. The 49ers, Cleveland, believe this or not, they go from a 37% winning percentage to nearly 70%. It nearly doubled. He goes to a 68% winning percentage. And then you say, oh, what does that matter? What does that mean? Cleveland, that's in an NFL. That's in the National Football League. So if you didn't want to give him credit, which you didn't want to give him credit at San Diego, you didn't want to give him credit for what he did at Stanford academic school, had them competing. Now, he did have one of the greatest quarterbacks in all of football history working with them, but he developed that. In fact, he developed that quarterback? Do you see that same development in where he developed that kid into a number one draft pick overall in the NFL at Stanford? Do you see that same development type or development process working for Justin Herbert, who he took Colin Kaepernick, who was for all intents and purposes, a no-name quarterback, from a no-name quarterback to a Super Bowl starting quarterback? Do you see that same progression happening for Mr. Justin Herbert, who you claim you would take C.J. Stroud and Jordan Love above?
Yeah, I definitely think that he will help with Justin Herbert's development. Is he going to get him to the next level wherein they're competing for Super Bowls? That remains to be seen. Um, you know, Jim Harbaugh has a very strange kind of quirky personality about him, but I can't lie, he has been effective everywhere that he's been. So there's no reason to think that he won't be effective. Going to Los Angeles, and again, like I said, they have nothing but room for improvement. So, given the last 3 years under Staley and his culture over there, as you like to call it, uh, of course, I'm sorry you backed out of that. You finally had enough of that culture and jumped off that bandwagon. But yeah, I think he has some pieces over there. A philosophy. It'll be a new voice in the room. Trying out some new things, and we'll see how much success they have. First things first. Let's try to get the Chargers to the playoffs.
I mean, I hear you throwing slingshots over there. I hear you taking shots at the Chargers organization. Um, I've heard some rumors of where Staley may end up. We're going to save that for the show during the week. But I've heard some rumors of where Staley may end up. I don't know if you heard the same thing, but it's quite comical of the potential places that he might land uh, next season. Um, But Harbaugh's done his thing. Obviously, you saw his work in action after taking Michigan from a 41% winning percentage to the 78% winning percentage and winning the national championship for the Wolverines. So you saw that work close up, and I'll be interested to see how he changes the fortune for the Chargers. I said this to Eric. Eric joined us last week on the show. And I said this to Eric. Now his star shines so bright. His star shines so bright that it's going to be a immediate ascend, and that descend might unfortunately be just as quick as an ascension for Mr. Jim Harbaugh in LA. So I'm looking at it probably like a 6 to 7 year span there. And in 6 to 7 years, if you can get those Chargers into the playoffs, or much less a AFC championship, that'd be very impressive because the AFC is still going to be formidable. The AFC, I mean, he's in the division still with um, Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid, and you have to now Antonio Pierce, and now you're going to have to contend with Sean Payton again. So that division is still formidable. and it remains to be seen as what he's going to be able to do against Mr. Patrick Mahomes. Speaking of Mr. Patrick Mahomes, this weekend, before we get to your picks, I know what your picks are, but before we get to your picks, I want to know. I have a few things I want to throw at you. The most consecutive wins, most consecutive seasons with playoff wins. Who's on this list? Most consecutive seasons with 2 playoff wins. Who's on this list, Cleveland? What say you?
Tom Brady's probably on that list.
Yeah, he's on the list. He's somewhere on there.
Peyton Manning is probably on that list.
Peyton Manning is not on the list.
Okay.
Most consecutive season with 2 playoff wins. Peyton Manning may be on the list. He's not in the top 3 right here.
Not in the top 3. Okay. Is John Elway on the list?
John Elway probably should be on this list. He is not on this list. No, he's not on this list. Probably, that's a good name there right there. That makes me rethink this list here. But this list go back to Bart Starr, who is Bart Starr, Brett Favre, and Tom Brady are tied with 3. Patrick Mahomes has 5. But that makes me think, John Elway, when he the late 80s, they were only playing 2 games. They were playing 2 games, right? He should be on that list. Come to think about it. Here's another something very impressive. Most rushing yards per game in playoff history.
I think that's your guy. Isn't that your guy, Terrell Davis?
He leads the list. At 142.5, just so you know, fans. Just 142.5. I mean, he's well ahead of the pack. But can you name the other 4 running backs on this list, or the 4 players on this list?
I'm gonna have to say Emmitt Smith should probably be on that list. No, Emmitt Smith?
No. Most rushing yards per game in playoff history. So you had to add some big game. This is by average. So you had some big rushing yards.
Is Eric Dickerson on that list?
Eric Dickerson is certainly on this list. He's at 1, 2, 3, 4 with 103.4 yards rushing average per game.
Explosive.
You should be able to get one of these guys. I don't know if you get the other guy, but you should be able to get number 3, and then number 5 is kind of ridiculous too. So you should be able to get one of the 3 names remaining. Most rushing yards per game in playoff history. You gave me Terrell Davis number 1. You gave me Eric Dickerson number 4. I think you should get number 3, number 2, and number 5. I'm not so sure.
I'm gonna reach out and say Marshall Faulk's on that list.
Marshall Faulk is not on this list.
Marshall Faulk's not on that list.
You had to have, per average, you had to have some big games. Like Eric Dickerson had that 250-yard game against Cowboys. Played the Cowboys. He's rushed for 250. So obviously that's going to bump his average up. Terrell Davis just was.
Well, I mean, I guess if you want to get weird and say, is Timmy Smith on that list?
No, Tim only did it one time.
Okay.
He played for more games, but he only did it that one game is what you're thinking about. Another Washington Redskin is John Riggins. Is number 2 on this list. Number 3, the guy who I thought you might get, is Derrick Henry at 104.6. Number 5 on this list, Cleveland. Number 5 on this list is Mr. Lamar Jackson at 93.4. Now he's number 5 on the most rush yard per game in playoff history, which I think is pretty remarkable. Another thing that you can look at tonight, folks, when you watch the playoff games, the championship games, is the most TDs by a quarterback receiver duel. Most TDs by a quarterback receiver duel, and we'll just do the top three. And obviously, you can know who's on this. You should be able to pick this list pretty soon.
Yeah, I think we lead the list with Mahomes and Kelsey. I think I heard that. Peyton to Marvin Harrison. I think we heard that. And then I'm gonna have to go with Montana to Rice.
Montana to Rice is third with number 12 TDs. With 12 TDs, excuse me. Brady to Gronkowski is number 2 with 15. And Mahomes to Kelsey is 16.
Huh. So Peyton to Marv is not on there? Interesting.
They're not in the top 3. And then to your point, because I already know who you're predicting for this game, but we're going to get into our predictions here and kind of see how we see these games. The key to the games here in a second. But highest winning percentage, highest QB winning percentage, including the playoffs, minimum 50 starts. So the regular season plus the playoffs, the highest winning percentage of quarterbacks that are in the playoffs. Who do you
got? Patrick Mahomes will have to be at number 1.
At 77% winning percentage of games, including the playoffs, minimum 50 starts. Pretty fucking impressive. 70% of the time, 77% of the time you're winning. Who you got? He's number 1. I got 5. I got 5 guys I'm looking at.
Let's see here. Tom Brady's had some pretty good years.
Tom Brady at 75.1. He's number 2 on this list.
I'm gonna take a shot in the dark. Is Kurt Warner on that list?
Kurt Warner's not on the list. Kurt Warner had a lot of down years between Arizona and the Giants, or vice versa. The Giants,
the Rams and
the Rams, the Cardinals. Yeah.
Winning person. Russell Wilson.
Russell is not on this list. I mean, Russell. So we're looking at the top 5, and the guy in last place is Montana at 71%. Russell. Is he 70%? But he's not in the top 70%. So the list goes: Mahomes, Brady, Lamar Jackson at 73.2%, and then Roger Staubach. So I just want to point out Lamar Jackson is already in this list. And maybe I should have did a little bit more homework on this. Is this the team's numbers or is this his numbers? Because we know Lamar didn't play.
No, those are his numbers for sure. I mean, he has to take most of the credit for that. He's not had what's happening? Good to see you.
Bootsula.
He's had some fairly how should I put this? Challenged offensive weapons around him until this season. So when you look at the type of numbers, it certainly reflects more on him than a team accomplishment, I would say.
So talking about Lamar obviously plays the Ravens plays the Chiefs this weekend. They are the favorite going into this game. Is there pressure on Lamar Jackson to win this game?
Absolutely, 100%. There's more pressure on him to win this game than there is on Patrick Mahomes to win this game.
Well, that's obviously Pat won a Super Bowl last year. So not only is he the defending champion, he has an MVP already. He's won another Super Bowl already. So yeah, nobody's gonna look at Patrick and say you're a failure because he doesn't win another AFC Championship game. He's been to 6 of them in a row. I mean that's ridiculous. Another ridiculous stat is Pat has been to the last 6 Super Bowl AFC Championships in a row. So obviously there's no that. That's not the question. That's not even a fair question to ask. Is there more pressure on Lamar Jackson than Patrick Mahomes? I just pressure in general. I'm hearing a lot of people say that this is his time to shine. And he doesn't do it. There's a lot of questions. They were questioning him last week. If there was pressure on him last week to win that game last week because he hasn't won in the playoffs. He was 1-3. Now he's only 2-3. He still has a um he's below 500 in playoff games. Is it fair, as you mentioned, that the team has not been not only has he not he what is he 6 years into the league? 6 years into the league. The last 2 years he didn't finish the season. So I mean are we heaping too much pressure on Lamar Jackson?
I don't think so. I mean, he's the NFL MVP. We'd like to see him get to a Super Bowl to kind of validate those individual accomplishments, and we'll see if he can actually do that. It's given all of the opportunities. I mean, it's at home.
Given all the opportunities, this is the best team he's played on. This is the best team he's played on. As you already established that the team offensively was challenged. So because of that, I don't understand why there's pressure on him. Yeah, he won the MVP. The MVP is a regular season, so he's put it down in the regular season, obviously. Would we like to see him get there and win? Sure, but to say that there's pressure on him, like he's not a good player if he doesn't win. If he doesn't, in the way I look at it, if he doesn't beat Patrick Mahomes, the defending AFC championship, should he be embarrassed? This team
is not nearly as good as the team was last year or any of the other Patrick Mahomes team. Like we're saying, this is Lamar's best team. This is definitely Patrick's worst team and probably his best performance leading this team to the AFC championship. He should be embarrassed if they don't win this game.
He should be embarrassed. And well, I don't see it like that. I don't have them losing, but I don't see and understand that the pressure people are heaping upon Lamar Jackson to win this game. I don't see it. That's like saying if the kid then what's next is they'll say because he didn't throw for 350 and 3 touchdowns and then run for 120 yards and another touchdown, like he didn't have a good game, which I think is equally preposterous as well. If he just throw for 180 yards and run for another 80 yards and they win, like that should be good enough. But if he walked away with those stats, I think people would be disappointed by his performance. And they won 27 to 28 to 27 or 27-24. I think people would look at, oh, Lamar didn't do enough, or he just barely got by. He barely snuck by. And I don't prescribe to that theory, Cleavon. So I have no secret here. I have the Ravens winning this game. You have the Chiefs winning this game. What are your keys to victory for the Chiefs?
Containing Lamar Jackson, the aforementioned MVP of the league, for one, converting in the red zone for 2, and dominating the time of possession.
So dominating time of possession, I don't think that's just to refute your strategy there. Dominating the time of possession, I think that's kind of an overblown stat for this particular reason. Like with Patrick Mahomes, they can hit you with a couple quick scores, which obviously they're not going to win the time of possession. And that then those quick touchdowns, I take a quick touchdown over a 7 or 8 minute drive. And a 7 or 8 minute drive against the Baltimore Ravens, I don't think is possible because the Chargers or the Chiefs aren't a strong running game. Like they have Pacheco, who's earning his money, and as your boy Richard Sherman says, he runs like he runs like he didn't have a great childhood. I just don't see them having a consistent running attack against a big running game against these Baltimore Ravens. So I don't know. I don't know that that's a good dominating dominating the time of possession is a good way to look at this game. I don't expect that to happen, so I don't think that's a good strategy to have to go by. Good formula to go by. Uh, for the Ravens, I think the Ravens do have a better run game. I think them dominate, keeping Patrick Mahomes off the ball, um, um, keeping Mahomes off the field. Excuse me. I think that speaks more to their ability, or that plays more in their ability to win the game because now you keep that high powered offense, you keep that big scorer opportunities on the sideline. They're able to consistently run the ball with Lamar Jackson with their three-headed running game that they have, including now Dalvin Cook, and they utilize their two tight ends. I think that's a better formula for them to win the game. Um, the Ravens than the Chiefs. Your thoughts on that?
Yeah, no, you're absolutely correct. Except for the fact that this Kansas City Chiefs offense has not really been all that explosive over the course of the season. They've been, a little bit better than average. And obviously, if you can stop or contain Travis Kelce, then you have a much better opportunity of winning that game. I think that Lamar Jackson on the ground, if he can get over 100, they're going to have a tough time winning that game. But that remains to be seen. The question becomes, can you take advantage of those matchups and have Lamar Jackson beat you with his arm?
100 is a lot. And are you our co-host Eric Williams, who's on with us earlier this week? He still doesn't. He's not a believer in Lamar Jackson beating you with his arm. Do you agree with Eric? Are you in the same thought process that Lamar still has something to show you as far as his accuracy passing or his ability to beat you with his arm? If you're Andy Reid and Spagnolia, do you force Lamar to beat you with his arm?
Oh, without question, yeah. If you're up by 10 with in the fourth quarter, you're feeling pretty good about things.
But you're gonna have to get up by 10.
You have to get up by 10. You know how you do that, where you do that.
We talked about the explosive offense, their ability to score. We talked about their ability to score. So yeah, I mean they're putting pressure on them like that. That obviously changes.
Yeah, I mean, if your question was, do I still question whether Lamar Jackson can beat you with his arm? Yeah, I still question that. He's certainly shown a lot of improvement this season with more weapons around him. The Zay Flowers, the Beckham Juniors, both tight ends.
That was my next point right there. With the now that Andrews is coming back, likely it showed up that he's a baller. And you have Odell. He's going to catch every first down for you. And you got Zay Flowers out there to make the big play for you, and then Bateman actually making a play or two. Is that what you really want? You really want Lamar back there dancing back there?
We definitely prefer that. Yeah, but have a much better chance of winning if Lamar is back there slinging it as opposed to Lamar just slicing and dicing you up on the ground.
I don't know if Lamar get comfortable slinging the ball, he's not coming in. He's not Kurt Warner. We already know that. But if he comes in there throwing that ball and is able to make a couple big plays, I think that puts a lot of pressure on the Chiefs defense. And then it's like, do we defend the pass or do we defend the run? What do we do? And then now the Ravens have the Chiefs eating out of their hand because you don't know if he completes a couple big plays early, big passes early to Zay Flowers to the tight end. Now you're questioning, you're on your heels. I don't think I don't know that that's what you really want. If you're the Chiefs, that's not a formula. That's not what you want to see. I don't want to force Lamar to hit these wide open receivers and to have 200 or 300 yards passing. I don't want to see that because that just opens up the running game to me. I could be wrong. But you see, you said for the Chiefs to dominate the running game is how they're going to win. To hold, you want to see Lamar with 300 yards passing? Is that what you rather see him with 300 yard passing than 100 yards rushing?
I don't think that's even remotely a possibility for Lamar to have 300 yards passing today.
You want to see what 250 yards passing versus 100 yards rushing? Is that what you want to see?
Given the fact that I'm taking the Chiefs, yeah, I would prefer that.
Okay. And what do you think about their defense? I think the the Ravens, as I mentioned, they have a better defense. They're going to be able to stop the ball, stop the run the ball, and stop the run. Like that wins in playoff football. I'm not sure if you guys remember that, but that's what wins in playoff football. The Ravens have the ability to do that better than the Chiefs. That's why I expect them. That's why I expect them to win this game. You got a score for us?
If I had to handicap it, which I am, I'm going to say 27-22.
27-22 Chiefs?
Chiefs.
How we get to 22 points? That's interesting. And I'm that's not far from me. I think I said 31-24 Ravens. And so that 27, 21, 31-24 is going to be somewhere in there. What's the spread on this game, Cleveland?
Ravens are favored by 3.5.
Ravens will cover. Ravens will cover in this game. Let's talk about the keys to victory for the Lions over the Lions. You got the Lions. This is comical. You got the Lions over the Niners. Now, fans, if you're a fan of the show, if you are a fan of the show, fans, you know why Cleveland is forced to go with the Lions, even if he doesn't believe that the Lions will win. He's got to force to it. So if this was Green Bay versus the 49ers, he'd go with Green Bay. If this was the Buccaneers with the Buccaneers over the Niners, he'd be going with the Buccaneers.
Hey, that's a bit of a stretch.
So we know he's forced right now. We know he's forced right now to go with the Buccaneers only because
the Lions, not the Buccaneers, the Lions.
He's forced to go with the Lions only because of what he said 2 months ago. He didn't expect Brock Purdy to be here in this position. So he's going to force Brock Purdy to dig deep in his pockets and send me some barbecue this weekend. He's going to force it.
Yeah, but and the reason that you're saying that, Buzilla, is because you question Lamar Jackson's ability to execute down the stretch. If they're ahead and able to do the things that Cam was talking about, stop the run and run the ball effectively, then absolutely, that's how they win the game. If it's a close game that comes down to 3rd and 8, you need to make this particular pass, or you need to move the chains here or there. Much more difficult time for the Ravens to win.
3rd and 8, you got 2 downs to get 8 yards. Come on, what are you talking about?
Depends on where you're from, and the X factor also being Justin Tucker. You don't have to get it too far before those guys to score, which is helpful for them.
So you just told Bootzilla he was wrong. I didn't even have to say it, Bootzilla.
No, I
didn't even have to say that. I didn't even have to say his theory was wrong.
Isn't that exactly what I just said? Come on, Cam. Listen when I'm talking.
I heard what you said.
Okay, so I'm agreeing with him. Yeah.
No, you just brought up Justin Tucker. You just brought up Justin Tucker. He can kick a field goal in the stretch if they need. I
brought up Justin Tucker because they can score. They can score easier because they don't have to get the ball as far. But if it's a close game and Lamar has to get it there, I question whether he's going to be able to do that. This is his time. This is time to prove everyone wrong that are detractors and doubters of what he can do. Throwing the football.
I disagree with both you guys, Bootzilla. But thanks for tuning in, big dog. And you guys are doubting. It sounds like you're a real doubter, bro. It sounds like you're a real doubter, a real hater of what Lamar Jackson brings to the table, as if you haven't seen it for all season.
I'm not hating on him. So, for example, if he was in this game against, Josh Allen, I would take Lamar Jackson. He's in this game against Patrick Mahomes. If he was in this game against Joe Burrow, I would take Joe Burrow.
Being able to run the ball and stop the run is how you win playoff games. The Ravens do that better than the Chiefs. I'm going with Lamar Jackson.
But you digress. We were talking about how the Lions are going to shock the world. I think that's the topic that we were on previously.
Yeah, I had to get Bootzilla hit up, let Bootzilla, who's in the chat, say his piece there. Thanks, Bootzilla. Would you, in a draft that we had a simulated draft, if the draft started over next year, and you can go Brock Purdy or Jared Goff, who you going with?
I would go Jared Goff.
That's funny. He don't even like Cal fans. He don't even like Cal. He ain't. He laughed at He laughed at Jared Goff when he played for the Rams. The 4 years that he came up there, every time he came to Seattle, he was comfortably picking Seattle. And now you're going to take Jared Goff over Brock Purdy?
Oh yeah, and this Detroit offense, he looks extraordinary.
Mm-hmm. Extraordinary.
Extraordinary.
Cleveland. If I could slime you, pour the slime like they do in Nickelodeon, if I could pour the slime over your head right now, because you can't even keep this in. Yeah. Okay, fans. Cleveland is biased right now, so I really let me ease up on him right now because he's biased. He's forced to say this. He's absolutely obligated to take the Lions right now over the Niners. It is just comical as with what he's coming up with. His reasoning is extremely comical right now. He Cleveland knows that the Niners have a better defense. He knows that, right? Cleveland knows that the Lions give up a lot of points. And when the Lions came in, what was the score when the Lions Seattle went to Detroit? What was the score of that game, Cleveland?
37-31.
And who was the quarterback then?
Jared Goff.
No, who was the quarterback for the Seahawks?
Oh, Geno Smith.
So if Geno Smith could put up 30 points on the Lions, what do you expect Brock Purdy, who was in the MVP category, whether you like him or not, or you want to admit it or not, he was in MVP category through parts of the season. Who do you like? You have to like Brock Purdy, his advantage in this game. You have to like what Brock Purdy was able to do. Again, whether you like it or not, Brock Purdy was in the MVP conversation. Whether you want to agree with it or not, Brock Purdy did lead the league in completion percentage with passes downfield. When you say he can't execute passes down the field, Brock Purdy led the league in passing down the field passing completion percentage. When you say he can't throw 15 yards, but he only throws 15 yards down the field, that was number one. 14.9 was number one. He led the NFL in that, Cleveland. When you said, this is your words, midway through the season, Brock Purdy can't complete downfield passes. Well, on downfield passes, Brock Purdy ranks 130.3 completion or passer rating. And that's number one in the NFL. Brock Purdy on downfield passes this season right there. And you wanted to which quarterback would you take?
Jared Goff.
Yeah. Fans, again, he's forced to say this. He's forced to everything coming out of his mouth is absolutely comical to me because I know the situation. And do we have something on this game? Just so the fans know. Do we have anything on this game? You and I have any personal bets right in on this game?
Personal bets? Yeah. Yeah, I bet that the San Francisco 49ers would not represent the NFC in the Super Bowl. 2 pounds of ribs.
And this is probably week 8 or 9, I believe it was, when Brock Purdy was on his MVP stretch. And I was forced to amend my Super Bowl prediction. I did have the Eagles going into the season. I had the Eagles versus the Chiefs going into the season, admittedly so. But I was forced to amend because all the sling and mud that was thrown over Brock Purdy's name. I amended my bet and said Brock Purdy would lead the San Francisco 49ers to this NFL Super Bowl this season. I said that it had to be week 6 or 7 in Cleveland. And where are we at now? We're in the NFC Championship game, 1 game away, right?
Right.
And you expect Jared Goff to get in the way and Aaron Glenn, who hasn't seen the field in 30 years? You expect them guys to get in the way? Come on, man. Stop it. Debo Samuels, you said he can't do anything with Debo Samuels. I talked about this earlier. You said he couldn't do anything with Debo Samuels. He proved that you were wrong, Cleavon. Now we have my man C-Mac, Cleavon said C-Mac was going to be nothing better than a special team player. We see he was arguably the NFL MVP this season. Debo Samuels, Christian McCaffrey, Kittles, excuse me.
Great
Kittle catching George Kittle catching passes at the tight end spot. Mike Shanahan's calling plays. We got Greenlaw playing linebacker. Fred
Chase
Warren,
Young, Bosa, on and on and on and on and on.
And you think these guys?
Trent Williams playing tackle and on and on and on and on. And on and on.
The 49ers will be able to score. Will definitely score.
Roll back and on and on and on.
They have the better defense. They have the better ability to score. Now the Lions give up points. Their offensive coordinator, he probably not going to be there next season because he's earned a job, a head coaching job. It sounds like in another league, or excuse me, on another team. They put up a lot of points this season. I don't see them putting up that same amount of points against the San Francisco 49ers on the road for the NFC Championship game. I don't see that happening. You can't have faith in Jared Goff. You can't have more faith in Jared Goff for Brock Purdy. Explain to me why you would.
Well, Cam, I think that he is much better in the Lions offensive system. He's got Amon-Ra St. Brown to throw to. He's got a tremendous running game with Gibbs and Montgomery. He's got LaPorta, and he's got an offensive coordinator and a head coach that are, give him confidence, whether it's, 4th and 4, they're just going to go for it. They just believe in what Jared Goff can do, which gives him confidence to raise the level of his game. And, on this particular stage, he's actually been to a Super Bowl before. So, he understands what it takes to get there. Preparation, confidence. He's got the city behind him.
He's back in the Bay now. He's back in the Bay. You think that makes a difference?
Oh, for sure. I mean, they appreciate him more than they appreciate Purdy. Yeah.
Very beatable, huh? And beat up. I mean, the Pack is the Pack was a good squad, but
are the Packers a better squad than the Detroit Lions?
I think the Packers. No, the Detroit Lions won that division. So no, they're not. No.
Okay. Well, you see the Packers put the fear of God in the 49ers, and 49ers just barely came out there with a victory. Now they got the Lions in front of them.
That was bad weather. That was kind of bad weather.
Weather in San Francisco. How's it gonna be bad weather? Bad weather was in Kansas City. Okay. Bad weather was
it was wet. It was wet. It was wet. You saw my guy Brock catching the ball and having to wipe off his hand in the middle of the play. It was wet out there. Today we're not gonna have that problem. And I just don't see the Lions defense has a propensity to they're going to give up 30 points. For the Lions to win, it's going to be over a 30-point game. It's going to have to be 35-31 for the Lions to win. I don't foresee the Niners giving up that many points. So it might be a 31-24 where the Lions are, they may have a final drive that they don't get it done. I don't see the Niners giving up as many points to make it to give the Lions that opportunity. That's what I don't see. You explain to me why I'm wrong. You can explain to me why you're wrong, or why I'm wrong if you like, but I don't know where I'd be wrong.
No, you're right. The Lions do give up a lot of points, but they also score a lot of points, and they score fairly quickly. So I think the game is never really going to be out of reach. And if they get an opportunity to take the lead and force the 49ers to play from behind, I think they have a good opportunity to win this game. Given that Brock Purdy has not really shown the ability to do that very often.
Okay, the Lions have given up 23, 23, 20, 20, 24, 17. I mean, there's only been 17, only 2 games have they given up less than double digits this season. Only two games that they give up less than double digits, another 2 games that they gave up under 20 points. I mean, clearly defense is their strategy here. Clearly.
They don't hang their head on the defensive side of the ball, no.
So that means that they're you can score on this team. They're you can score on this team. That's what that's telling me. You can score on that team. And if we look at the team that they're playing, 21-10, they gave up 33 to Baltimore, 29 to Arizona. Ooh, that's what the Lions should be hanging their hat on. But they did score 45 points that game. 16, 19, 13, 14, 20, 3, 31. Like, come on, man. Since November, they gave up more than 20 points three times, since November. That's a defense I can count on right there. Am I concerned about Debo and the Niners run defense? Again, they played. I'm not sure if you watched the game last week, but they played. That was Cleveland's slogan all season: is Brock Purdy couldn't do anything without Debo. Debo didn't play in that last drive when Brock Purdy drove down to win the game with his game-winning drive. And I think that game-winning drive was a surprising stat that Kyle Shanahan, was 0 for 30, down by 5 and going into the fourth quarter. And who's the one that gave him the win, Cleveland?
Okay, so to answer your question, SB23, yes, I am concerned with the 49ers run defense. Aaron Jones did expose them. He did show what you can do if you get out there. They have a lot of pass rushers. Pass rushers don't typically like to tackle a whole lot. And when you have the two-headed monster, Jahmyr Gibbs and Montgomery, yes, that is going to be a concern for the Niners defense. In addition, Deebo Samuel says that he's 100% healthy. We're not 100% convinced on that. And if he is not his dominating, run the sweep self, that would be a problem. So to answer your question, SB23, yes, those are both two concerns that the 49er fans should have.
So you never heard of Greenlaw, I guess. You never heard of Greenlaw? You never heard of that guy?
Heard of him.
You thought Chase Young.
Warner, heard of all those guys. They got Pro Bowlers all over the place, Cam. I've heard of all those guys. That wasn't the question. The question is they've been run over recently.
No, I'm not really concerned. Debo say he's playing, so he's good. They played in the same way.
It didn't just rain when San Francisco was on the field. Yeah.
Okay, so here it is. Here it is, Cleveland. Let the people know what your final prediction is for the San Francisco 49 for the Lions going to San Francisco to play for a chance to go to the Super Bowl. Is this going to be too much for the Lions and Dan Campbell and Aaron Glenn and Jared Goff? Is this going to be too much? The state's going to be too big for these guys?
The ignorance is bliss here, Cam. They're just going on momentum. They're just riding the wave. Don't stop believing. Whatever slogan you want to use, they're going to use that and take it to San Francisco, to the Bay Area, and come out there with a 33-29 victory. Oh,
you got them just kind of barely nipping it out.
Just barely.
These scores, you got 33 to 29. And what's the last 33 to 29 game you've seen?
Got to see one right now.
Well, fans, there you guys heard it. You guys heard it, Cleveland. Again, what do we got on this? What do we got on this game, Cleveland?
The winner gets 2 pounds of ribs.
Ooh, I can't wait. I can't wait. Yeah, should I place my order now? I mean, how do you want me to place the order and then have them call you to pay for it?
I would like for you to place your order now, just to give that kind of negative, bad karma that you're so fond of doing, and it'll just make it just that much worse for you when you have to pull it back.
Lions by 10, he said.
Oh wow, that's even more confident than I am. What does that
Come
like?
on, man.
Purdy shrinks down the stretch, huh?
I mean, that sounds like a Seahawks hate of the Niners. That's what that sounds like to me. That's what that sounds like. Just straight
Purdy
hate of the Niners.
shrinks down the stretch.
Yeah, I'm gonna hold you to this, SB. SB is a regular contributor to the show. I'm holding you to that. Don't show up next week, or do not show up next week because I got something for you too.
And Cam, being cocky and arrogant, then already ordered the ribs, which is just reversing the karma on it, and it means that the Niners are going to lose.
Man, I can't wait. I can't wait, fans. I can't wait, fans. I hope you guys can't wait either, because I'm next week. It's gonna be a lot of grease on the screen next week. My hands is gonna be greasy. I ain't gonna be able to hit the buttons quite right because I'm gonna be smacking and then hearing Cleveland groan and grovel about how he had to pay up. That's what's gonna happen next week. Fans, one, thank you guys for tuning in to the Voice of the Fans. Again, we just want to hit you with the NFC or AFC National Football League Championship edition of the Sunday special. We thank you guys for tuning in. Enjoy your day, fans. Thanks, SB. Thanks, Bootzilla, for tuning in. Cleveland, give yourself a round of applause for being here. And fans, as always, want to thank you guys for making our voice your choice. Hope the games go your way.